morning. Okay, let me stretch. I just got done doing some reading. Hello, and welcome to this edition of Wake and Bake News. And I'm your host, Shampoo VTA, Kelly Davis, and how are you on this Monday morning? This is July 18th. I counted, and we've got a little over 3 months to go before the election. Good news, I've been in elections before, and I've been in the losing position. And as close as you are, I remember 2010 with Prop 19, as close as you are, you cannot make up those numbers in 3 months. And our opponents are far behind us. I don't even see any opposition really in the news whatsoever. Every once in a while there's a little blip, a little blurb, but everybody comes out in opposition. Suddenly we start digging into their private business and finding out how they're associated with making a profit off of prohibition. And it's like their arguments just are blown away by the wind. California prosecutors come out against AU. Who cares? California prosecutors have been making names for themselves on low-level drug arrests for years. Everybody knows that. Who cares? They're profiting off of prohibition. Thank you for stepping up and, having to defend your position because you're so deeply corrupted by this. We'll be doing you a favor. The police a favor. The Teamsters a favor. Anybody. Teamsters are not even really coming out against it. They're like, we're going to let our members vote the way they want, but we're not really for it. But we're not putting any money into the effort against it. They're just like, meh, go ahead. They're not in the way. Let's put it to you that way. They're not standing in the way. They're not promoting, but they're not standing in the way. Because they know many of their members are victimized by the same prohibition laws. And they can't tell their members, hey, continue to be harassed and subjugated by local police officers and unjust laws that can tear not just your life apart, but your kids, your wives, your families, your community that you're from, whether it be Hispanic, Asian, or Black, or just poor. They can come in and systematically devastate your community with these laws. They're created to completely keep you in the Stone Age and prevent you from ever getting the fuck out of Compton or San Diego slum fucking areas or LA or anywhere else that these scumbags fucking use as trash laws. Because that's what racists do. Simi Valley, Ventura County, that's what racists do. That's what conservatives do. They can't win the argument, so their bitch ass tries to create little zoning laws and shit and little excuses to not embrace the future, but they're going to get bitch slapped right upside their head with the future, and I'm going to eat popcorn and enjoy watching. I came here to read the comments and eat popcorn. After this, my battle, the majority of my battle is pretty much over, and from that point on I become someone who cheers, roots for the future, fights for it to be federally recognized, but once California pretty much votes this thing in, who the fuck cares what the federal government says? Because after that point, they're just going to look like fucking clowns. I don't care what clowns say. Little clown car pulls up. All the little DEA guys get out in their little suits, come up to a podium. Who cares what the fucking they have to say? The door is closed. History is done. This is done. This is done now. 3 months until this election's over. What magic fucking bullet are you going to pull out of your ass is going to get everybody in California to vote against this thing? That's going to make the gap between 39% against and 55 to 64. Tell me how that's going to happen. I can't wait to hear how that's going to happen. Because I've been in plenty of these fucking elections. 3 months in, you don't have your fucking ducks in a row. You are fucking baked. That also goes for Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton already has a platform. That platform is very progressive and something that actually is making change and they're already working on, unlike many other years where nothing's going on. And I read an article where it literally says that. This is not like other years. This is different. We've won. Whatever the fuck these morons want to drag their ass doing now is just going to make them look like fucking idiot moron tar pit fucking dinosaurs. Hey, flailing. And the more they talk, the more you know they're losing. You just sit back and watch, because they're going to say the most outrageous shit, but they're losing. Many of the same thing is happening between the protesters for Black Lives Matters and the police. I'm sorry, but the police have lost that PR campaign, even if there are dead police that were shot. That is terribly tragic. But here's what I notice as a white person sitting in Ventura. Whoa, aren't the police quick to bitch about getting slapped when they're in a fight? They're the ones with the gun. They're the ones with the tank. They're the ones with the gang of buddies and the federal government backing them up and lawyers and fucking shit and newspapers backing them up. But boy, when they get punched in the nose, suddenly it's all, you know, whoa, that's what I see. They don't go, okay, we need to bring peace, you know. This has obviously gotten out of hand. And no, this isn't like that. This is like, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, big fucking funerals and the president shows up and shit like that. That looks bad. Black people don't got big fucking funerals and the president showing up and stand there and get to stand in uniform and look all sad for each other and shit. They tattoo like a tear on their cheek, or they wear like necklaces that says remember. You know, I've seen, fuck you, man. You know how many of those fucking things I've seen in this town alone? I saw a lady in Oxnard holding a sign, justice for this person that was run over by a car. You gotta be fucking kidding me with those funerals. And I'm white. Yeah, I'm liberal, but I live in an extremely conservative white area. And whatever it is you're doing looks so obvious. So terribly obvious. Because now the police in Baton Rouge are like, we must have peace. We must, it's like, wait a minute, hold up. I saw all the protests. You were all too gung-ho to be in that mosh pit. You had your cute little uniforms. You were proud of it. You ran up, grabbed this nice lady in a pretty little spring dress. Dressed like fucking stormtroopers from Planet Bizarro. Okay? Now a sniper gets on a roof, starts shooting at you, and suddenly you want to take your toys and go home. You don't want to play anymore. Huh. Well, we just learned something about you, didn't we? Because I don't care how you paint it. I don't care how many grieving people you put up there. I don't care how many people you have sitting in their living room with their child on their lap in a uniform speaking. This shit is You have not established the argument that backs all of that up. Any temporary gains that you get from that are momentary. I'm telling you, the wheels of change are rolling on your ass. You better grapple with this fucking racism thing, because it could be up your butthole in a big time way. That's what I'm seeing, and I'm not even involved in that fight, but I'm like, damn, look at how these cops be fucking up. Holy shit, people shooting at them. And we got white people from New York on TV going, you know, I really don't blame them. I mean, it's not okay. I'm thinking it. My family, who's all white, is thinking, well, you know, the cops are. Dude, how could you fuck up that kind of PR campaign unless you were swinging your dick around like you thought you were a thing? Unless you were a bully. Now you get slapped in the head. All the kids on the playground like, bully be crying. Let's see what Bully's reaction is once he gets popped in the nose. Bully goes running to teacher and tattles on the kid half his size. Now he's like, come here, newspapers. Come here, president. He hit me in the nose. You kill tons of these people every year. But that's different. I'm a hero. Seriously. Do you even think that shit's gonna fucking not stink up the room? What? I mean, you're not even playing on, you know, like the next level. You're not even on the level. This is primitive shit you're doing. This is like 1950s. You're not talking to the Nixon generation here. I keep trying to explain this. I'm not my grandmother. I'm not my mom. There are playful things happening, which I'm about to go into. You got to be keeping your head on a swivel in this modern day, and you sure as it can't be trusting nobody, especially not some bitch in a costume. That is A number one. Somebody comes to you, I am a shining knight of heroism. Oh boy. What are you going to try to sell me or take from me or do something? You look all shiny, I'm worried. What lies you telling me now? You look too perfect. Okay, so the next story I'm going to go into is how tricksy this world is getting. I'm going to read to you an amazing story that, sorry for laughing, that pretty much tells you where we're at in our modern world. So, now not only has the LA Times been tricked, Ventura County Star been tricked, some other websites have been tricked. Now there's another one here, the Weed Blog has been duped, but have they? Okay. Okay, so by fake stories. So here's the one that came out 3 hours ago. Justin Trudeau pardons all Canadian marijuana offenders and continues being awesome. Apparently, here it says that Justin Trudeau has pardoned every marijuana offender in Canada, from low-level to high-level marijuana crimes. Now, of course, here I looked it up, and of course, there's no other corresponding stories. And lots of people are coming in going, this is fake, this is you fucking idiot, you told lies and shit like that. So I posted to this thing about, I think it's a tactic. Okay, this is called identity correction. So once again, I'm gonna read this guy, Steve Smith's reaction. Okay, and this is what they want from you. And it's brilliantly done. Actually, they are still arresting people while they fumble their way to legalization. They are just pulling our chains, and this, like everything else, will be decided in the courts. Trudeau has had a chance to do it right, but for whatever reason, he is trying to make it fail, dickhead. No, it's probably just like Obama. As soon as they get up to Washington, some fucking agency puts a gun to the president's head, says, oh, you have kids. You have a wife. You better not fucking legalize or bang. That's probably what's really going on. It's like a financial gun to their head. Somebody has a gun to these leaders' heads. They think they can change things, and then as soon as they get in there, they find out that somebody's going to fucking cap their ass, and they're going to fucking go, like the Kennedys. They're going to be one of the dead Kennedys, maybe. I don't know. Is all I could think of. Okay, so here's this story, which is, of course, a lie. And afterwards, I'm going to read my reply to this guy, right? Because I agree. He's angry. That's the point of the story, is to make you angry. Because it's identity correction. Okay. So let's stop and read. Okay. The Weed Blog. Justin Trudeau. Well, let me close this other thing so we don't hear noises. Justin Trudeau pardons all Canadian marijuana offenders, continues being awesome. Color me what? I didn't know that Canada had an April Fool's Day. Is this like the Canadian April Fool's Day? Is this real? Is this real life? So this is from theweedblog.com. Over the weekend, the Liberal Party of Canada, whose leading members is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, held a press conference to announce future changes in Canadian law regarding marijuana enforcement and regulation. During the conference, Trudeau revealed news that all members of the Parliament had agreed to pardon all Canadian prisoners who've been convicted of minor and major offenses of marijuana. This is a massive step in the right direction for legalization in Canada. Already there are plans that medical marijuana will become federally legal soon. Talks on recreational legalization have been rumored with our neighbors to the north. As well, Trudeau may have given a nod to this fact when he said, To ensure that we continue to be a strong and fair nation, this must be done. The legalization of marijuana is approaching, and all action regarding the legalization must be taken. This is the first step. Trudeau continues his powerful progress movement since taking office. His progress showcases positive effect the federal government can have in the fight for legalization with a concerted, focused effort, even better for the country. Before embarking towards this goal of ending cannabis prohibition, they are righting the wrongs of the war on drugs has caused, starting with the unnecessary incarceration of non-violent offenders. This lenience of marijuana convictions is quickly becoming a trend in politics, with the Missouri governor expunging many marijuana convictions last week. Nevertheless, hats off to Mr. Trudeau and the Canadian government for finding a solution to this immediate problem. So if this is in fact true, does this mean that those convicted of marijuana crimes in Canada can now travel to the United States? That they will no longer be seen as jailbirds? It can't be trusted in the U.S. Because I know I've heard complaints from some Canadian stoners that because of their drug convictions, they're not allowed to travel to the United States. And I'm like, that is just fucking bullshit right there. What the fuck is with that? That's not even fair. That's not even a fair law. And then you're trapping them in their countries because of it. They can't come to the U.S. That's bullshit right there. Bullshit. Mm-hmm. I have some of my shitty weed here. It still is as not fabulous as it is. It's still getting me stoned. I'm happy. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot more, so I'm happy with that. Not like tons, but, Like my doctor was saying, the limit's 8 ounces. And I'm thinking, Jesus, I've never held 8 ounces. Do you know how much I would love to hold 8 ounces of weed in my fucking hand? Oh, I dream of someday. Like, I hear people, they're like, that's not enough. I'm all, Jesus, I've never even seen that much weed in one place. I would love to. That's like, I'm poor. I've been a poor child. Okay, so now I'm going to read to this next thing to you that I responded back. I said that I think that's a point, that this is bullshit. I said this is a tactic, and then I gave him a link to this Wikipedia page, the Yes Men. Yes Men are a culture jamming activist duo and network of supporters created by Jacques Servain and Igor Vamos. Through actions and tactical media, the Yes Men primarily aim to raise awareness about what they consider problematic social and political issues. Okay, so how they do this is, according to Sivan, the Yes Men concept initially sprang from the creation of a fake website spoofing the World Trade Organization. The surprise of Sevan and Vamos, many believed the site to be authentic, and the two were consequently contacted to speak at a conference in Austria. Since this time, the Yes Men have continued performing large-scale hoaxes. Okay, but that went on. They got invited to this thing in Austria, but later on, they also spoofed that they were part of Dow Chemical or something like that, and that they showed themselves to be representatives of Dow Chemical, and they were going to fix this problem that they had caused at like Boca, I can't remember where it was. But someplace in Africa where they had this terrible spill that had affected the people there and destroyed their lives. And they basically walked away. Okay, so they pretended to say, we're going to fix it all. We're going to make everything wonderful. This is going to be great. And the BBC, invited them to speak because they really thought these guys were representatives for Dow Chemical, because it just never, they say if you're going to tell a lie, tell a big one, because they never caught that this was a lie, because it's such a big lie. I mean, who would have the balls to pretend to do this? You know? So they invited them themselves to the BBC. They spoke in the BBC. They said Dow Chemical. They said all this stuff that they were going to fix this problem and everything. And the Dow Chemical stock dropped on NASDAQ or whatever, on the stock market, because people went, holy shit, this is going to affect, blah, blah, blah. And actually reaction was, greed was like, oh, how dare they fix things that'll cost us money. So their reaction was their stock dropped and it affected their stock. And then Dow Chemical came out and was like, what the fuck's going on? No, these guys don't represent us. And I've talked about them before, and they've done lots of other hoaxes. Well, the concept is that this is, let me go back to this article where I posted this to this guy. I just saw a picture of Donald Trump with like old man with no hair. That was funny. Girls, fuck. You ever see Father Ted? Fuck, drink. That shit is funny. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought here. That made me laugh. That is such a funny picture. Oh, I guess I gotta steal it. Funny pictures with Trump caught without his wig. There is no way that's really Trump without his wig. That would be so funny. There is no way. A save link. Yeah, I'm not gonna fall for that. Okay, but anyway, there's some picture with his face superimposed on an old man's face. I don't buy that's actually Trump without his wig, because if that's what he looked like, that's worse than Bernie Sanders. That'd be hilarious. I doubt it. Nice fantasy though. Anyway, I was telling this guy that this is identity correction. Okay, so the yes men, what they do is they go in and they correct the identities of these large organizations that humanity would like to see changed. And of course, the reaction, like for instance, the DEA story that's been going around about this DEA lawyer that sits with wine, sipping wine. Okay, this guy, that's not real. This is all intended to basically probably bait the DEA into coming out and saying something, testing to see if this has got anything to do, like probably they made a worst case scenario, like what are the things the DEA could do. So instead of coming out with, oh, we banned it, we're not, blah, 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 and getting everybody upset about how they're not going to change, they say, oh yes, we're going to change, but it'll fuck up everything. And that way, maybe in case they're planning to do that, you're heading them off at the pass with a fake story, or you're basically just creating chaos in order to stir the waters to catch fish, to see what comes up, to see if you can get them to come out with information that would be relevant to what's going on, and we give you a clue of what's happening. So they say that they impersonate entities that they dislike, a practice that they call identity correction. The yes men operate under the mission statement that lies can expose truth. They create and maintain fake websites similar to ones they intend to spoof, which have led to numerous interview, conference, and TV talk show interviews. They espouse the belief that corporations and governmental organizations often act in dehumanizing ways towards the public. Elaborate props are sometimes part of the ruse, like the survival ball. They made this big survival ball as a joke, and they were trying to sell it at like their weapons conferences and stuff, and people were taking it seriously. As shown in the 2003 DVD release, The Yes Men. The Yes Men have collaborated with other groups of similar interests, including Improv Everywhere, Andrew Boyd, and Steve Lambert. Okay, so even if it's not them doing these kinds of things, it's the tactic that's being used, which is that we can impersonate you. We could make a website where I'm Ken Corney, the police chief, because he's had plenty of photographs taken, and I could just basically go through the net, pick up photographs that haven't been used as often, where he's in his little uniform or something ridiculous, crop paste, write a fake story saying that he said all these wonderful things about all the great things that marijuana regulation is going to bring to the county. And it would make everybody cheer. Then they would find out it's a lie. It would make them angry. And they would ask this, why isn't he talking like that? What? And suddenly now you have an issue that didn't exist. See how brilliant this is? Why isn't Trudeau releasing all the prisoners in Canada? Because in another thing here, it says that this tactic here, it says here, since this time, the yes men have continued performing large-scale hoaxes in what they describe as a collaborative, in other words, some of the news agencies are in on this, a collaborative effort with journalists to help the media tell stories which they believe are important. How do they use this to tell stories? Because they get you asking questions that you would not have asked on your own by running a fake story, getting you to go, wow, that sounds great. Oh, that's fake. That pisses me off. Why aren't they doing that? Don't you see? They are allowing you to discover. They're not leading you with the trail of crumbs. They're much more intelligent. They're actually saying, they're like using complete obfuscation of their point, that they're just faking this and it's a hoax, and then the news didn't want you to understand, so they go, oh, it's a hoax, continually giving them cover, because the news cannot actually go into a story about the yes men, because if they did, it would reveal the weakness of the news media. So they play their weakness against them. This is really, in my opinion, one of the most brilliant sort of PR things I've ever seen. I wonder if this doesn't come from other countries and stuff like that, because it's genius. It gets people to see a world they'd like to see and then pulls it away from them real quick. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. It causes you pain. You're angry. You weren't angry before. But even with that article, remember with the fake lawyer, I was getting angry, wanting to argue with the guy that doesn't exist. There are many TV shows that fucking can't pull that off. Seriously, give it to them. That's good. Okay, so this is a fake story, but it's all part of this new tactic. And why you can't trust the news anymore, because they have extreme weaknesses. Anybody can, and is purposely doing it in some cases, insert fake stories to pull the argument over into a different direction. Obama suddenly allows everyone in the country to have guns. Can you imagine that fake story? Nobody believed that. There's not enough Republican, need for that to happen for people to buy into that. They don't like Obama. They would never buy into that. Pot smokers and people that want to fight global warming and people that want to fight for racial equality and stuff, they're looking for positive. They're looking for positives, not a I told you so moment. People that don't like Obama are looking for that I told you so moment. Keep setting them up for it, because when it doesn't come, they fuck up. They get angry and they start blathering shit out of their mouth that just sinks their whole fucking deal, because they can't shut up. It's amazing. The conservative side just cannot shut up. Me neither. But I mean, they say really offensive shit that just is it's pee in the pool. It's there forever. It's never going to go away. People will be able to look for hundreds of years back at those tweets and go, wow, these people were really fucking assholes. Aren't we happy we got away from that? And that's intentionally to bait them out to say something stupid. Keep it up. It's doing great. But to see how their desire is for a negative effect. They want revenge. They want revenge. So they can't be tricked in this, because this is too hopeful for them. If Obama somehow isn't beaten in a sack, they're not happy about it. They want to see him hung in a sack and beaten with a club. Then they'll be happy. But until that time, they're not going to be happy. So you couldn't do this with them. With us, you can do this because we're looking for that hopeful news story where people have seen the light. There's a famous painting of a Roman soldier sees God, finally gets the epiphany about how Christianity is a better fucking idea for whatever reason. and they paint it as he falls off the horse. And he's just there, bathed in this holy light of, epiphany, realizing, you know what? I could throw out all of our old religion, and then I could replace it with this new one that, of course, I would have control of, and we could decide on our own how it's going to work, and, basically take power away from everyone that used to have power and give it all to me. I'd fall off a horse going, wow! I saw a cross in the sky. And now you're out of a job. I'm taking all of your power and property and your followers, and they're all going to follow me now because I'm the Facebook of religions. And I'm going to steal all of your users. This was also tried in Egypt. I think King Tut's dad tried to change the religion and move the capital up the river there, and people got pissed. And after they defeated him, they scraped his image off of all the walls and shit. That's why, a lot of his, I think it's his dad's pictures are like knocked off the wall. But there was this one dude, and I'm not sure if it was King Tut's dad, but they got pissed at him because he tried to change things by just flipping the script like that. People like it. People want to see that script flipped. And they, that's how to get the crowds on your side, cheering you like Rome in the Colosseum, And these sort of lie stories show the opponent, don't you see? You could take even more cash and prizes if you went with the flow instead of fighting. Stop playing tug of war. Drop the rope. Let your opponent fall on their ass. But the minute you start tugging on that rope, you can never let go. Yeah, it's just the stupidest fucking game in the world. Typically a masculine game. Me, I'm like, I don't give a shit about it. Here, you can have the rope. Enjoy. I'll make another one. I don't give a fuck about a rope. It's just, why would you even want to pull the team onto your side? Now they're over here. Keep them the fuck over there. You know what? There should be a game where you're pushing each other away from the line, not pulling. Come here, Stupidest fucking game on earth. I always thought it was dumb. Okay. So that was that story. And isn't it interesting that once again, we've got the fake news popping up. And I kind of hit that and I was like, no, that can't be true. That's crazy. Because I was like, even the ones they're busting in Toronto right now, they just busted like 50 dispensaries. You're just going to go, and no, we let you go. Oh, no, no, that doesn't sound right at all. So I was right. And people jumped on it immediately that was a fake story. But I posted it anyway and just left it and didn't say it was a fake story because I think we should just kind of let it go and see how far it goes because it has the effect of getting people into the conversation they don't want to get into, just like Black Lives Matters and even these police shootings do. It gets people into conversations they don't want to have because they are basically, they're entrenched in their position and they don't fucking want to move. And the only way to fucking end this is to get their fucking ass moving. Because this ain't fucking World War I. Fuck you. Get the fuck up out that trench. Let's get this shit on and get it over with. Because you sitting there blowing the harmonica ain't making this fucking any better. Are you waiting for Christmas so you can see an image of Mother Mary and go out dancing and singing together and then blow each other to shit the next day? You may find that very heroic, and at one time I thought that was a touching story. Now I think, why didn't the fuck they just end it and keep going? Instead of getting back in the trenches like a bunch of fucking morons. That's where their intelligence level went real high and then dropped off again. I should have said, war is a concept of the imagination and walk the fuck away. What they should have done. Drop their weapons and just walk. You need me to fight. Bip. Bye. They're going to come and kill your family. Honestly, I'll protect my family. When they come for my house, I'll do that. But me sitting in a trench playing a harmonica in the fucking mud for months? Fuck you. Fuck you. How about that? And that's what this is. They're sitting in trenches playing fucking harmonica. Throwing grenades over. Bullshit. Dumb. They got barbed wire up, fucking landmines. Stupid. Get that shit all pulled up. Nobody can build houses, schools. Nobody can get on with life. Nobody can get the fuck on with life. Okay? Okay, this ain't fucking, the east and west, walking Zacks or whatever in the valley of Prax or whatever, where I won't move to the left, I won't move. Nobody gives a fuck about that. You know what? You're in the goddamn way of the freeway we're gonna put here, bitch. You better get your goddamn argument fucking finished. You're sitting in a fucking trench, not getting it on with. You want to have this argument? Get it on with. Let's get this shit over with. Because we're going to the Mars and shit, and the moon, and fucking space. And we're not sitting there playing with Andy Griffith in dipwad fucking backwoods wherever with a badge on, beating the fuck out of people. And when somebody starts shooting back, he's like, boo hoo hoo. Look at me, look at me. No, I'm looking at all of you. Here's what I see. A problem needs to get handled. And the one thing I can handle is the police that the taxpayer money pays for. I can't control everything else, but I can control you. Okay, how are we going to control them? Well, now that the Democratic Party, which probably will be the next president, of the United States, no matter what the idiot Republicans decide to try to stonewall, that is a losing proposition. They're like 300. And if you remember 300, that was a great movie, but they got their asses wiped out, and eventually the other forces just kind of went in and butt raped the Spartans. So that was a cool movie, and they did something really amazing, like bottling up that and like saving time and stuff like that, and that was amazing. But in the end, they got their asses handed to them fucking anyway. And that's a fucking movie. I like it too. It's fun. Grow up. This is a losing fucking strategy. You're literally in the kill box, and you put yourself there when you isolated yourself in a clown car in clown costumes. You isolated yourself. There's no safety in isolation. The thin blue line cut you off from the rest of us. That was dumb. Okay, so 51-foot joint is coming to Philly DNC. So they're going to have quite a few, apparently, marijuana-related things going on at the DNC convention. PhillyVoice.com. 51-foot marijuana joint coming to Philly for the DNC. Activists celebrate the strides they've made in a once intractable issue in recent years. When the Democratic National Convention comes to town next week, the city will be abuzz with activity at a time when marijuana activists themselves find themselves making progress much quicker than they'd imagined they'd ever could. So it only makes sense that several DNC events will have a marijuana sensibility to them, none more visually compelling, as activists and supporters plan to march a 51-foot joint from City Hall to the Wells Fargo Center. Before we get to the litany of events planned, let's talk a bit about what goes into not only making a 51-foot joint, but how to transport such a thing the near length of South Broad Street. Chris Goldenstein, a Philly normal, describes it as such. Let's see. You know those big dancing stick figures? Oh yeah, often seen outside car dealerships. Well, imagine one of those is modified in so instead of standing straight up in the air, thanks to a fan at the base, it lays horizontally. Puffed previously at marijuana events near the White House and in New York City, it will make its first Philadelphia appearance on July 25th as part of a DCMJ event, tentatively starting at 1 or 2 p.m. for the march down conventionation land. Volunteers will help carry the 51-foot joint the entire length. It will then make a return 3 days later when local activists take their turn. The marijuana movement has to bring some levity to the tense times we're living in, said longtime activist Nikki Allen Poe, noting that cannabis plays a part in issues at the forefront of society right now, including the drug war, prison overcrowding, the police state, and medical healing. We wanted to do a protest that's fun. Times are changing. Things are getting different. Marijuana can unite this country. We're the new America. We want to be heard with a message of peace, compassion, and care for people. This directly affects our community, so we want our piece of the pie, standing up for ourselves. It's an exciting time to be alive. For his part, Goldstein wouldn't even consider that what they're doing is a protest, with the DNC platform siding against the very thing that that he and Poe got locked up for protesting in Independence Mall 3 years ago. It's more of a celebration of changing times. Removing marijuana from the Controlled Substance Act was 3 years ago, a very radical position. Now Bernie Sanders has a bill in the Senate about it, and the party is seriously considering it. We've had decriminalization here since then, he said. Are we protesting, or are we out here cheering them on? Alcohol is not in the Controlled Substance Act. Tobacco is not in the Controlled Substance Act. Marijuana should not be in the Controlled Substance Act. It never belonged on the scheduled list. Those platform discussions are expected to be discussed at the convention itself on July 26th and voted upon on July 27th. Surrounding those dates are numerous other marijuana-related events in Philadelphia during the DNC. From 6 to 8 p.m. on July 24th, the Marijuana Policy Project will host a fundraiser reception with U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer, Democrat, Oregon, and the Union League. Tickets for the $250 event must be purchased in advance. From 8 to 12, I read that. No, that's a different one. From 8 to 12 on July 25th, local activists will host a DNC cannabis kickoff party at Connie's Rick Rack, 1132 South 9th Street. It's free to attend. Earlier that afternoon, there will be a Smell the Freedom demonstration where people will gather for a 4:20 p.m. flash toke at a yet-to-be-determined location. Is it going to be a Pokemon catching flash toke? Details for the July 28th Cannabis Pride Parade, which will employ the 51-foot and represent the pinnacle of local activists' efforts, will be released Monday as well. Goldstein said it will offer a chance to reflect on the strides they've made in recent years and celebrate how important it is that half of the body politic, half the body politic is now on our side. That's right. It's kind of more than half, really. I was talking to the delegates about it recently, and they said often the platform doesn't translate into much, but they're adopting a platform that our members are already working on, he said. That takes away excuses at every level of government, from city council to the president, and gives us an opportunity to work on this policy. It really is a big deal. Now, it sounds like for the first time in my ever, dude, Seriously, you have no idea what we've won here. It's huge. When I was 16, 15, 17, something like this, only 16% of the entire country was for the idea of legalization. And now we're quickly chugging towards 70% of the country. You know? I mean, there are people that literally said this could never be done, and that was the majority of people I knew. And I was like, oh no, this can be done. And then the other argument was, no, this can't be done because it's too corrupt a system. And I said, well, that may very well be. That just means it's going to be a lot of hard work. But reason and the ability to argue with logic and critical thinking fucking beats the goddamn ass out of a bitch with a gun every day of the week. The only thing that fucking idiot can do is shoot you, shut you up, threaten you. That's all that fucking wuss bitch can do. That has its limits. Respect is more powerful than fear. The minute you got to turn to violence, you've already lost. You're just now prolonging the problem. You're just now, I know, I'm going to just make things worse for myself. So when they do catch me, they'll have every right to beat the holy fuck out of me. So they start doing things like, Saddam Hussein is a wonderful grandfather. Hoping that when you catch Saddam Hussein's ass, you aren't going to fucking stick a screwdriver up his butthole. But lo and behold, it fucking happened anyway. Because when you're trying to buy PR, it's not worth shit. You have to build, what Jesus say, on a foundation that is solid. Not a gibbity gobbity goop coming out of your dumb mouth because now you found out you're losing. Here, I'm taking a nice dab. I have Graham in there. I went over to my brother's yesterday. We played cards and we had a nice barbecue and we worked on my guitar. And oh my God, that piece of wood was so hard to cut. That was an unbelievably difficult piece of wood to cut. We don't have the tools, so you got to do it by hand. He doesn't have like a bandsaw and table, band sander or whatever all these things are. We just got the hand tools. So like we crank down the guitar body and he's there pushing the fucking saw through. And this wood is hard. Trying not to burn the wood, and I'm fucking holding the bitch still because it's wanting to move around while, he's shoving, so I'm pulling the opposite direction. By the end of that day, I was exhausted. I was like, I'm tired just trying to hold the damn saw table down. This is one of these light fold-out pieces of shit, right? But anyway, I'll show you some pictures of the work we did. Robert did, my brother. And he's kind of fake Lutheneering it. We're kind of just building it half-ass. I built a couple of things already. They're not perfect, but I mean, they work. Okay, here, child. Why aren't you locking up? Come on, dumb, stupid. Somebody wants to regulate something, they could regulate these fucking torches and they'd be okay with it. How about if you regulate them so they work? If you pay like $5 or $6 for a torch, there isn't going to be some clicky button or some shit that flies off or breaks off or whatever. I've had a couple of these now, and they both seem to have different fidgety, different issues, So let's continue on here. Now we've created the storyline. We're beginning to create a narrative with the fake. Wouldn't it be wonderful to let all these prisoners go? But then it starts to get you asking, well, wouldn't there be problems? Wouldn't there be, how could you do that? Wouldn't somebody who arrested him scream their head off? That guy's a criminal. How dare you? That was hard work for me. I'll have to give the property back I took from him. Okay, so you start talking to, or you start thinking about these things. Then you start talking about how far we've come with the DNC. That this is not going to be as much of a protest at the DNC for marijuana legalization or rights or regulation or deregulation or any of these things, but a celebration of 30 years of, and now look, boom, look how far we've come, baby, We get that moment. That's, whoa, that's cool, But now I'm going to send it into the final story, which is the problem with testing. And this is from Reason.com. And this is faulty tests are creating, you know, basically fake drug crimes. And there's one story I heard that isn't in here, but it's basically that some police were using a test to test marijuana taken from legal marijuana patients, people that had a license in a legal state. They tested the marijuana and it came out as synthetic marijuana. And then they accused them of being synthetic marijuana distributors when they're actually medical marijuana patients, and the test is testing this wrong. See what I mean? Is this a faulty test, or is that on purpose? So we'll take a look at this story from Reason, and this got me pissed. So I kind of spewed through it a bit. Reason.com. Faulty test creates fake drug crimes. Cops and prosecutors continue to put unjustified faith in notoriously unreliable field kits. In 2007, Don Bolus, drummer for the punk rock band The Germs, was arrested for possession of a banned depressant, GHB, commonly known as the date rape drug. After police in Newport Beach, California, pulled over his van because of a broken taillight, the charges were dropped after a lab test showed that the bottle of yellowish goo in the toiletry bag contained exactly what the label said: an all-natural peppermint-infused cleansing product by Dr. Bonner's Magic Soap. In 2012, Robert and Adeline Hart were awakened by sheriff's deputies pounding on the door of their house in Leawood, Kansas, demanding entry so they could search the place for marijuana plants. They were sued there. They were sure they'd find there. The deputies forced Robert Hart to the floor at gunpoint and then confined him, his wife, their 7-year-old daughter, and 13-year-old son to the living room sofa while they spent 2.5 hours looking in vain for evidence of criminal activity. It turned out that the saturated plant material deputies found in the couple's kitchen garbage was not marijuana, but loose tea. In 2013, Alexander Berenstein spent a month in Pennsylvania jail after state troopers pulled over the rental car in which he was riding, found 2 brick-sized packages of white powder in the trunk, and charged him with possession and conspiring to distribute cocaine. His bail, originally set at $500,000, was reduced to $25,000 4 weeks later, which is how he finally managed to get out of jail. 5 days after his release, a lab test showed that white powder was what he had claimed all along: homemade soap. There are just a few examples of periodically publicized brushes with the law caused by unreliable but widely used field tests for illegal drugs. Many people suffer consequences worse than the embarrassment, legal costs, and temporary loss of freedoms experienced by Boyles, who spent 3 days in jail, and Hart's, who had to mount an expensive legal battle just to find out why their house was searched, and so far have been rebuffed in their attempts to win compensation. The Bernsteins, who last fall sued the state troopers responsible for his arrest and detention in last week's New York Times Magazine, ProPublica reports that Ryan Gerbelson and Toffer Sanders estimates that thousands of Americans have been not just falsely accused, but falsely convicted of drug crimes based on erroneous field test results. These tests are generally not admissible in court, But that does not matter much, since the vast majority of drug cases, 90% or more, are resolved by plea deals. Gerbelson and Sanders found that guilty pleas are always based on field tests alone in dozens of jurisdictions. Among them, Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Newark, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, San Diego, Seattle, Tampa, focusing on Harris County, Texas. Gerbelson and Sanders found that 212 people were convicted of possessing a substance that a field test mistakenly identified as an illegal drug between January 2004 and June 2015. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second. I'd like to say this reminds me again of the Iraqi bomb test thing, where a guy in Britain had a company that produced a bomb, supposedly tester, that was going to test for bombs at the gates of military bases, which turned out to be nothing more than a metal dowsing rod with some kind of broken microchip inside with wires that weren't attached to anything. And nobody even bothered to look inside the box. And it was a huge problem because it put people at risk. It gave people the false assurance that they were protecting themselves against terrorist attacks, when in fact it was nothing. You might as well have had a wooden dowsing rod and walked around the outside of the car. You would have gotten as much result. And that was a huge case of somebody tricking the government into buying into something that was fake. I think that the roadside tests for marijuana inebriation is going to be the same problem for a while. You're going to have guys coming up with fake machines that really don't work. And they're just going to sell them. They're going to sell them to police forces all over the place, and they're going to buy, and base convictions on them that later on could take the chance of all being thrown out. And by that time, the damage is done because an entire police force is invested in it. What choice do they have but to lie? It's almost like it tricks them into corrupting themselves. And now you can't do anything because we have you. You stepped in the bear trap. You used something that didn't work. And you sold it as it worked. Eventually that trap will close on them. Whether they want to pretend like it exists or not doesn't really matter. One of those erroneous incriminating defendants, a Louisiana woman named Amy Arberton, was arrested in 2010 after Houston police pulled over her car and found a white crumb that mistakenly identified as crack cocaine. Although she was innocent, the prospect of up to 2 years in prison, combined with everyone's scientific certainty that she was guilty, persuaded her to accept the plea deal that promised a short jail sentence. She ultimately spent just 3 weeks in jail, but that was the least of her punishment. She lost her job as a manager of the apartment complex in Monroe, Louisiana, and her new status as a felon made it impossible to find steady work that paid nearly as well, which in turn made it difficult to care for a son with cerebral palsy. Her whole life was upended by a crumb on the floor of her car that a lab test later found was not any sort of illegal drug. Alberton had no idea she had been exonerated until Gilbertson and Sanders tracked her down and got in touch with her. Oh boy, that's some evil bullshit. That you do that to somebody's life and then you don't even tell them that you've been exonerated? Wow, there's some Satan shit at work in this world now, especially in our police forces. Is there not, like, the devil is working up in there? In the hearts of men, the devil has their souls. Holy shit. They all took 666 on the forehead. Okay, without going through the records of every county in the country, or at least a representative sample, it is hard to say how many people have had experiences similar to Albertson's. But Gilbertson and Sanders take a stab at it. considering that the data from Harris County, the ubiquity of field tests and the widespread willingness to accept plea deals based on those tests, and the large number of arrests for drug possession, 1.3 million in 2014, the most recent year for which the FBI data are available, we're lucky they give us data at all. If Alberton's case is one of the hundreds in Houston, they write, there is every reason to suspect that it is just one among thousands of wrongful drug convictions that were based on field tests across the United States. Later, they say Alberton is one among unknown tens of thousands of Americans whose lives have been torn apart by a very flawed test. Well, I don't know exactly. Is it flawed? Because it seems to be making money for whoever is producing the test, and it's producing false arrest numbers that make the police look amazing, you know? And then if they mess up, they don't even bother to tell the person they convicted. They've been exonerated, so it always looks like they're right. I mean, is it flawed, or is this exactly the way it was intended to work? Was this exactly the way it was intended to work? How flawed? That question also is hard to answer with precision. Gerbelson and Sanders note that a Las Vegas study found 1 out of 3 samples identified as cocaine was in fact something else. In Florida, they write, 21% of evidence that the police listed as methamphetamines after identifying it was not methamphetamines, and half of those false positives were not any kind of illegal drug at all. In 2013, Travis County, Texas District Attorney Rosemary Laurenberg decided to stop accepting guilty pleas in drug cases without a lab test after her office discovered a dozen false positives from field tests during a 6-month period. One source of false positives is non-specific tests. The Scott Regent test that was used to incriminate Alberton involves dropping a suspected drug sample into a vial of cobalt thiocanate, something like this, thiosinate, which is supposed to turn blue in the presence of cocaine. But as Gilbertson and Sanders noted, cobalt thiosinate also turns blue when it is exposed to more than 80 other compounds, including methadone, certain acne medications, and several common household cleaners. The Harts and Kansas couple who house was raided in 2012 drew police attention because Roberts visited a hydroponics store with his son to buy supplies for a school project. Oh dear Lord, and then the DEA struck. They were falsely implicated by a KN Regent test that twice indicated Adeline's tea was marijuana. Those results supposedly confirmed suspicions that the Harts were growing marijuana and extracting THC from it, even though the plant matter in the trash neither looked nor smelled like cannabis. Johnson County Sheriff's Deputy Mark Burns, who found the supposed contraband, admitted in a deposition that the material was hard to identify, but said he never considered that the substance could be tea leaves because he had never in his life seen loose tea leaves. Jesus Christ. You know, I'm sorry, but that's an excuse. No, you wanted to go after them. You had probably, I'll bet you $1 million that they went and they found out how much their property was worth before they made the raid. I'll bet you that they did an estimate on how much their property was worth, and that's why they were targeted, because they were the rich people walking into the hydroponics store, and they could accuse them of whatever and just come up with tea or whatever the fuck on the ground and go, yep, there you go. And they're going to back us up because this is the fucking sheriff of Nottingham. Taxation without representation. Redcoats coming to your door and turning your home into a garrison and throwing your family in the street. That's a coup. I'm sorry, but that is a coup. That is a type of coup. I'm sorry, but that is police and military taking more power than they deserve to have. And it's dangerous to allow it to happen. It's dangerous. These are dangerous people. And if they don't like what you say, maybe you'll end up dead in a jail cell. And they won't know how it happened. We don't know how it happened. Yeah, these are dangerous, dystopic times. Dealing with the police is now, they're becoming, and I said this, they're going to become irrational, dangerous, because you're taking their toys away. You're taking racism. You're taking drug prohibition. These are their toys. You're going to watch the baby have a tantrum. And I'm saying this on a day when 3 more police officers have been shot. And it is a terrible thing that has happened. But it does not detract from the fact that at the very same time, more police officers are being acquitted of shooting other African Americans. So I'd like to point out, isn't it interesting that when the bully gets punched in the nose, suddenly he's talking about peace and how violent everything is? You know, I'm starting to think that maybe they liked all these tactics until they found out there's actual blowback, and they don't have the ability to deal with the blowback, and now so they're going to like cry like little bitches on the playground because they're not winning the fight. Things just got real for them, and now you're going to hear about how dangerous it is for them in the street, when in fact, no, the danger's just started, and you know it. And now I'm not like saying this is a good thing. I'm just saying, isn't it interesting their reaction? It's like when you see a kid getting picked on and then he takes a swing at the bully. Bully gets hit in the nose, runs to the teacher and goes, "He hit me." You saw what happened. You know that bully's a bitch. That guy ain't going to be able to escape that judgment. Suddenly you know something about that bully. He's a bitch. He's a little fucking pussy inside. Every kid on the playground that's been beat up by that bully just saw that chink in the armor. That's in, you know it. That's why you're talking all this, "Ooh, we need to go get along." Yeah, because it's your ass getting shot, huh? Let's just say it plain. When it's like lots of black people and there's tests and people are getting arrested, and it's like, "Oh, well, I didn't know because I've never seen tea leaves," or whatever the fuck. "I'm sorry I shot your dog," or "No, sorry, tough shit, this is my job." But now it's you. Oh boy, listen to them. Listen to the bitches cry. They can't handle what they're doing. They're showing me they are weak. That's what I see. Listen to them cry. Now we know what they are. Revealed, mask removed. They're punks. I'm sorry. That's punk ass to do that. Oh, you know, after you get punched real good in the nose. Everybody kind of knows you a little bit have been asking for it. And now you get hit. It's all about hoo boo hoo hoo to the teacher, to mom and dad. "She hit me. They hit me." Oh, and now wait a minute. You've been rolling around on this playground, pushing people around for a little while up in here now. Now you get served some? You're going to be like, "Boo hoo hoo"? Really? You just showed me something about your character, and I'm not sure that's something that you wanted to reveal. Because now I'm judging you. People that are pussies can't be in charge of nothing. So I just want to point that out. Isn't it interesting, their behavior? Look at how they react when it's their lives on the line. Very different. Suddenly we got huge memorials of presidents showing up too. Very different reaction to when a black man dies in his car next to his family. Very different than when they drown in a hurricane in Katrina. Very different, isn't it? Blaringly, obviously, red thumb standing out, disco stew with this fucking bedazzled jacket, different. Looking stinky up in here is what I see. Looks massively stinky. The test that supposedly clarified matters, the test that was crucial both to obtain a search warrant and to the federal judge's rejection of the Harrods' subsequent lawsuit, seems to be incapable of distinguishing between cannabis and many common organic substances. In 2008 and 2009, Coughlin University biotechnologist Omar Bagazar used the narco pouch KN Regent test to screen 42 legal plant products. 33 of them tested positive for marijuana, including spearmint, peppermint, basil, or oregano, patchouli, vanilla, cinnamon leaves, lemongrass, bergamot, ginseng, anise, ginkgo, eucalyptus, rose, clove, ginger, frankincense, vine flower, chicory flower, olive flower, cypress, and St. John's wort. Several of those are common ingredients in herbal teas. Another test, the NIK, Dequanos-Levin Regent system, did much better, but still misidentified cypress, patchouli, and eucalyptus as marijuana while generating inconclusive results for oregano, spearmint, and lavender. See, I'm saying that, don't you see, this gives them a legal little hole to do the shit they want to do. They know the tests are sketchy. They know it picks up all these other things. Then that opens them up to take advantage of even more Americans, not just people that possess real drugs. Now everybody could be accused. Ooh, what fun for them. We can go after normal people now. Yeah, I don't think this test is flawed. I think it's working exactly the way they want it to. Even exposure to air seems to trigger some tests. The Marshals Project Alicia Santo reports that a lieutenant with the Hillsborough County, Florida Sheriff's Office did some experiments with the NARC-2 field test and found that just opening the test bag to the air produced the same shade of purple as exposure to methamphetamine. At a 2009 press conference highlighting Bagarassa's findings, marijuana policy activist Adam Edinger opened a narco pouch KN Regent test bag. There's video of that too, I've seen it. Waved it around and released it, which caused a color change. This is just air, he emphasized. Yeah, see, the tests are terribly flawed. This is not science. When the fuck are we gonna start using goddamn science to base our fucking laws on instead of hypocrisy and criminal, corrupt, fucking bullshit bigotry? When the fuck is this goddamn nation gonna step up so we can get to the stars? Because this bullshit Neanderthal crap is keeping us down and wasting our fucking time. These people are fucking nipping at our ankles and preventing us from achieving all the high, wonderful goals that we could have because they're fucking backwoods morons protecting their own shit, their own pile of dung. They're pissing me off because they're dragging us down. They need a good slap in the head. I don't see us getting to the stars with everybody fucking shooting at each other, morons. Police, fucking idiot, morons. You ain't astronauts, genius. Get it through your fucking head. You ain't all that smart. Look at the fucking mess you're helping to make. You're the adult in charge of the playground. I'm blaming you, sir. You're the adult. I'm not looking at the kids. I'm not interested in what they're doing. You're the adult. What are you doing? I can't control what they're doing. I can control what you're doing. I want to know what you're doing. Another source of false positives is human error. Oh yeah, no shit. Police may perform a test incorrectly, misunderstand the instructions about that different colors mean, somehow manage to drop the camera that's on the front of their fucking chest when they're killing a black man in the street. Oh yes, we all know about police error, human error. Oh yeah, isn't there just a whole bunch of that? I don't know why the camera on my dashboard stopped working just at the moment I was shooting that black man. I don't know why the camera fell off my chest. I don't know how that happened. Maybe we ought to fucking stitch it in your forehead so it never comes off. And it never goes off. And it's on even when you're asleep or having sex in bed. How about that? We could make it so it never fucking turns off. We'll fucking put it in your fucking forehead. And a chip in your skin so I know what the fuck you're doing all the goddamn time. When you're about to roid out, I'll know it. A computer fucking app will tell me, this one's got roids in his system, look out. You won't like the leash I could put you on, just voting. You want this whole world where you're just, following people around and you can get into their business? That shit can be turned on you. Police may perform a test incorrectly, misunderstand the instructions about the different colors mean, or misperceive the color in the poor lighting conditions that are common during roadside stops. Weather conditions also can affect results. Yeah, they also don't know a lot about the law. Have you ever asked an officer if he's actually studied the law? Only enough to get tickets. Not really. Despite, it's not really what they're there for. They're there for to be the big guy enforcing. Look tough. Cross your arms. Look mean. Be nice. Help the old lady. Get the cat out of the tree. It's like an actor you hire. Except the actor can be shot on set. Which is kind of like what really can happen now anyway. Yeah. Oops, another accident on set. For a blockbuster movie that's about to come out. Who would have thunk it? Despite the national publicity attracted by cases in which people are falsely incriminated by field tests, cops often claim to be unaware of the problem. Burns, the Kansas deputy who did not know that Loose T had worked with the Johnson County's Sheriff's Office for 15 years and had 8 years of experience with drug cases. But he testified that he had no knowledge that anything other than marijuana could test positive on a marijuana field test kit, and that he was not aware of the possible occurrence of false positive test results. Oh no, dear Lord. Why would he know any of that? He's just a drone. He's just a little drone that flies around and poops on everybody for the government. Why should he know anything? Evidently, Burns did not read his own affidavit. You know what? Let's just start calling the cops drones. Let's leave the pig thing behind and just start calling them drones. Here come some drones. Look at those drones. Because drones aren't human. And we're scared of drones. And it really kind of describes what they are now. They're just hovering about, watching. They're drones. Killing. Okay, so an affidavit in support of the search warrant of the Hart's house, which plainly states that the test is presumptive but not conclusive of the presence of marijuana. Burns' boss, Sheriff Frank Denning, also did not take that warning to heart. Denning, who has more than 4 decades of experience in law enforcement, said the only false positive results of which he is aware and the results at issue in the case. Charles McClellan, yes, of course, it only happened once, it couldn't possibly happen again. Houston Police Chief until last February, and Ray Hunt, head of the local police union, likewise told Gilbertson and Sanders they did not realize there was a problem with false positives from drug tests, field tests. Gilbertson and Sanders expose is a wake-up call for all the cops and prosecutors to continue to put unjustified faith in tests that lie. We still use Iraqi bomb detectors in parts of the Middle East. They are still being used by some forces, even though England prosecuted the rich motherfucker that came up with the scam. Look it up. Iraqi bomb detector. Learn. They use fucking false shit to create nuttery and sell products. And then if somebody gets blown up, they're like, oh, blah, because they're not even trying to fucking defend shit. They're buying crap tests to just push their agenda. They're not even trying to actually protect anybody. This is just a way to get what they want. Now, of course, my point in this story is that a faulty test? Or is that like the Iraqi bomb detector? It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Give a false sense of security to people, create the opportunity for more attacks that you could use for political ambitions to say, see, look, all this is happening. When actually, if you put in real security forces and real security, you would reduce these attacks, and therefore you wouldn't, eventually people would go, oh, well, the attacks are reduced. We could reduce funding for this. That's what they're really worried about. They have to keep making excuses for their fucking right to take money from people. Fake bomb detectors achieve that goal because they create fake crimes. Fake crimes that aren't going to hurt anybody. And when a real crime happens, well, that's what you get to use as political fodder to push whatever initiative you've got behind you. Get it? I mean, all of a sudden, lots of people want to shoot cops for Black Lives Matters. Does anybody kind of sense something weird about that? That's kind of coincidental. How come they didn't do it before? Is it the newspapers that are hyping this up? That's causing this to happen? Is it Black Lives Matters? Is it fake? Are they CIA plants? Why all of a sudden this is going on out of nowhere? Black Lives Matter has been going on for a while, but suddenly cops getting shot at is kind of like a new thing. Why isn't the DOJ down there? Why aren't they giving the people down there the sense that somebody is investigating those police forces to find out if they're corrupt or biased? Why are we letting everybody sit in their entrenched position and throw grenades at each other? Where is the federal government on this, and why are they allowing this to happen? And is there a political agenda? Because I think there is. Let's see if we can stir the pot, stir some shit, get these people acting, and then we just fill the newspaper with stories of all the shit that we've created when we're not actually trying to fucking help anyone. Tell me, is that a faulty device, a faulty test, a faulty detector? No, that's doing exactly what the fuck it was designed to do. Screw everything up so some rich bitch or somebody in power can fucking take from people to create chaos. While the cops are robbing, who knows what fat cat's robbing you? You're paying so much goddamn attention to the cop, and the cop's paying so much goddamn attention to you, I'll bet you the rich people are just scampering off with everything while these people sit entrenched in Baton Rouge. Use your brains. You have them, right? Try using them. Because I smell a big stinky fart. Why the fuck are you falling for that, dipwad? These people piss me off. They are too stupid to be in charge of things. This is dumb. Why are we allowing these people to sit entrenched, Washington? Why is the DOJ not down there investigating them like they did with, is it because it's an Obama administration? What stinky fucking bullshit political excuses are going on now? Where are the adults? When do the grown-ups show up? I'm still waiting. Because everybody down there is losing their mind. It seems like the country's just going, fight, 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 fight. When does the grown-ups fucking show up? So these detecting things and these tests are all part of the same bullshit. They know damn well they're broken. They know damn well that they scoop up a whole bunch of innocent people. Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! I get a vacation, I get a car, I get a raise. I get a pat on the back. Yay, oh, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Prosecution, easy prosecution. They're not even going to try to fight because they're nice people and we're just bullying them and robbing them, taking their money on their milk money on the playground their mommy gave them. Because we're just a bitch. Huh. So that's the story I'm trying to tell you. Look at how these bitches be reacting today. Look at their little game. And who's really making money off of these bitches? I mean, you know, I'm mad at the cops, but now I'm starting to go, who's making chaos in their world and our world so they can go skipping off with all the cash and prizes? Because there's some bitch that's profiting off of this. Find that motherfucker. Find that motherfucker. Obviously, the gun manufacturers are doing a bang up job. The newspapers are doing well. Start looking at the bitches that are standing there going, hit him, yeah, motherfucker, yeah. Go look at those bitches now. Look them on Twitter talking. See, another police officer acquitted. See, just blah, blah, blah. You getting something out of this, aren't you? You're over there doing a little political masturbation, aren't you? See, another police officer acquitted. Even yes on Black Lives Matters is the same thing. Why in the fuck are we standing here letting this go on? Where's security? Where's the principal of the school? Where's the teachers? What are you, out to lunch? What do you got your head in your ass? Where are the goddamn adults in this goddamn fucking world? Or don't they exist? We just got rich man fucking playing one people and against another like cockfights. They're probably throwing down cash. Which side do you think's gonna win? The police or Black Lives Matters? I got 50 on the police. I'll bet $1. Mortimer? Sell! Mortimer? That's what I'm accusing you of. There's some shit going on here. And it's like unraveling. It's coming apart. It's shaking up. You can see all of its little fibers and little veins and little cracks and stuff in it. And you're like, oh, oh, this is a problem. We're going to have to do something about this. See, all this shit has got people talking about stuff nobody wants to really talk about because they want to remain in their entrenched positions about marijuana, about racism, maybe about the police corruption, police militarization, and yes, even bigotry towards police officers because other police officers are dicks and you can't judge everybody by the cover of their book. Even though the cover they're wearing basically says fascism now. Not everybody that was in the military on the side of the Germans during World War II was a Nazi. Not everybody. So you can't judge everybody. But you can be pissed as hell. You can certainly make fun of them. Haven't we proved that in American society? Even Warner Brothers made fun of the Japanese during World War II. So you can make fun of the opposition. You can make horrifying caricatures. You can do that. But if you put it on the internet, it's there forever and it'll always be there. So your message better be positive because later on, people that are not passionately involved in this argument will judge it with cooler heads and they'll see you're a dick. You were using tactics that were lame. You were sure to lose. It's like 1950s shit. St. Mayberry. You know? The world is filled with tricksy shit now. Virtual reality. Pictures that lie. The dog is wagging the tail. Everywhere. Why in the hell do you think your little uniform is going to make me all like, what, tear up or something? Come on. Your sad police story? There's a million people with sad stories I've already heard. I don't cry anymore. I don't think most of America does. We've seen people get their heads fucking cut off with rusty saws by the enemy. Switch channel to cartoons and didn't blink an eye. You helped to create that world. Now you're upset? Really? That's my take on it. On the events for marijuana and for all the rest of this bizarre political landscape that we're facing here as the election comes on. Expect it all to go away after the election's over. It'll all go away. You know? Seems like the feminist thing is all gone. There ain't no more fucking feminists, feminazis, feminists. That's all over with. I don't even hear a peep of that shit. Nothing. No reverse sexism, none of that. You know what I hear? Reverse racism. Racism against white people. Bigotry against police officers. Not allowing police officers to eat in restaurants because patrons do not want to sit next to the police officer. It makes them feel uncomfortable. Yeah, it does. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I would not want to, I'm sorry. But if I went into a restaurant and I saw a group of police officers in their uniforms, I would leave. I would leave. I remember being at the barbecue for our union here in Ventura, the school district, years ago. And there was a husband that was a police officer. And we're all having a wonderful time. And then somebody mentioned, be careful, that guy's a police officer. He's very nice, was this very second thing that was said, like this. Be careful, that guy's a police officer. He's very nice. You have fucked yourselves in the ass. What in the fuck is wrong with you? Your blue line separated you from us. That was an incredibly stupid and dangerous thing to do. If this herd turns on you, I don't care what kind of predators you are, we're just going to simply stampede the shit out of you. If this group of wildebeests is just running around that you're picking the weakness off, or the black people at the edges, you're hunting them, if they shift, I don't care how good a hunter you are, you're going to go underneath their fucking hooves. They will trample you. This is dangerous. That's why the predators don't take on the entire herd. The entire herd could fucking kick their ass. Even if they don't have teeth and claws. They could just, their mass will destroy you. Get it? Isolating yourself is not a winning strategy. It never was. And I'm kind of angry at police because I think they made a lot of mistakes with their union, like I said, and they've chosen a strategy that has been destructive to their honor in our communities. And now people have black and white fever, and cops have created that situation because they're the adults in the room. I don't care how low legally you are paid. I don't care if you fight with your wife at home. I don't care what your experience on the job are. Everybody has shit going on in their life. No, not everybody faces a gun, but you can always quit. So it's not the fucking military. It's difficult to hear that argument and take it seriously for me. Being somebody who doesn't get the kind of honors that police do, but was in doing a job that should have brought honors, it pisses me off to see a bunch of cops getting these big fucking funerals and shit when there are plenty of teachers and principals and shit that get dead and nobody's fucking giving a fucking parade for them. You ain't the only motherfuckers out there. Nobody talks about the special ed teacher that had to buy her own fucking supplies for years from thrift stores and was teaching her kids how to fucking survive in the real world so they didn't have to be completely dependent on their parents till they died. Nobody talks about that. Because you got the shiny fucking uniform. You're the rock star, huh? I bet you there's a lot of people that don't put their lives on the line in the police force that aren't seen as shiny as those guys in their uniform. See, this is that kind of mentality, and it pisses me off. Instead of honoring people for doing the right thing and making our society better, we honor people for protecting us from the bad guys because apparently we're incapable of fixing things. So we got to have a parade for the guy in the uniform because we're too up our own fucking ass to make sure that the guy in the uniform's not even necessary. But instead, most of our parade, half of it's fucking tanks, fucking DEA vehicles, fucking drug enforcement vehicles. Dump, 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 everyone. Dump, 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 dump. Honor them. How about if I let them stay home and live a life outside the uniform and fix the fucking society that makes them fucking necessary? What if I did that instead? Wouldn't that be honoring them? What if I fucking had gun regulations? What if I got rid of racism? What if I fucking had a governmental system that gave them the things that they deserve, like safety and shit like that, without fucking taking their personal identity and making them part of a group like the Blob? What if I did that? This is the kind of shit that just pisses me off about everything. What the fuck do we always make everything 10 times as hard and then justify it? And sit there and argue with each other about petty ass shit. Well, Black Lives Matters has a point. Yes, they do. They have a very serious point. The police have a point. Yes, they do. They have a very serious point. Talking about this does what? Talks about racism, gets everybody to talk about all these philosophical things. Here's what we should do. We should do some gun control. We should demilitarize the police. We should have more police oversight. We should find a way to have drones that do not break, that the police do not personally have control of, so that if they do something wrong, suddenly the camera is not going to have a misfunction, or whatever, Okay? More oversight, more regulation, more sensitivity, more de-escalation, and less pull a gun, shoot somebody, and then justify it bullshit. And then when you get shot at, big, long, fucking sad funerals with women, I'm done with this stupid fucking crap. We all are. We're not crying if you haven't noticed. I haven't seen that trending this morning about the police shooting. Only at the top of Google News. Sorry. I told you, you cannot buy a, continual win, a win that will continue to win, that stays won with shows and parades and talking points. Those things are, and they aren't worth anything. You don't build on a rock hard foundation, you are gone at some point. Another thing from the Bible, Jesus said, the farmer's going to scatter seeds, right? Some are going to fall on fertile soil. Some are going to fall on rocks, and they'll never sprout. Well, you are not on the kind of foundation where you can survive. You're talking a whole bunch of bullshit about feel sorry for me, look the other way, and forgive all my sins. Not gonna fucking work. I don't care what sort of performance you put on, or what sort of costuming you wear, or how you parade wonderful police officers in front of me to protect yourself. None of that's gonna work. The dog has the scent, is on the hunt, and the dog is not gonna go off on some side trail. The dog knows how to hunt. And now the dog knows something going on. This is going to be fun. Oh, it's trying to be tricksy. I like it when they try to be tricksy. We're talking about stuff they don't want us to talk about. Dogs on the scent. How many people are going to be dissuaded by side arguments? They're not good hunting dogs, brush their ass aside on Twitter and shit. Whatever. Poof, 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 poof. Well, another police officer exonerated. Yeah, that's going to make you even look worse. You just bit off more problems that you got. You win the battle and you lose the PR war because you look like shit across the country. And politically, your conservative side loses overall a little bit more for your tiny little selfish win. You're a dumbass. What did you think that was going to do? Suddenly I was going to go, oh my God, I was so wrong. There must be something wrong. If those police officers, I mean, they wouldn't exonerate people that were criminals, would they? Yeah. I mean, what exactly did they think any of the shit was going to do? So once again, my disappointment in their crippled ass hobbling fucking political ways continues. Now they're just, I mean, and who knows what's going to be next? We're going to have to watch police officers handing out fucking big wrap presents on the side of the road to good drivers, or kiss babies, or some ridiculous fucking political prop show bullshit. And yes, funerals are among those things. You know, that Baptist church, whatever, those fucking evil fucking anti-gay Baptist church, I don't know what the fuck their name is because they're stupid. Anyway, those guys show up at funerals all the time and turn them into nothing but political fucking sideshows, and it's wrong. When you have cameras show up and want the whole country to cry for you, that's wrong too. Do you deserve to be cried for? I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about it. And telling me that somehow I'm not a good American because I'm not crying for you, because this is a terrible tragedy. Yes, this is a terrible tragedy, but I'm sorry. This is a modern age. I have seen the most horrific things happen. I don't feel like I used to anymore. Most of us don't. You helped to create that insensitive world. Now you're upset about it. I'm going to say it again. Now you're upset about it. Are you kidding? Really? You're just like fucking stormtroopers from fucking Star Wars. And then you're upset because I'm insensitive? What's the matter with you? You can't even handle the shit you created. Now you come back with this Barney Fife. This fucking, I'm a good cop, just trying to protect the citizens of my town. These images do not merge well together. Crying police officers at a funeral with Barack Obama looking channeling God for please God get me out of this mess. All right? I'm being like 100. Okay? Okay, so all of that shit is not phasing me. Do you know the things, the horrific things that we have seen, sometimes live, and then people sit there and troll and make jokes about 10 seconds after a man gets shot next to his girlfriend, live. And I'm supposed to cry at a funeral for you? You're playing an old game. That's not how this works. I would hire somebody maybe to help you out, because this is 1950s shit. I'm sorry. That's how it is. And it's not pretty. But you helped to make it this way. And you crying about it only pisses me off. Makes you think you aren't worth the trouble. I'm just keeping it 100, telling you what I think of what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing. It looks pussy ass. You're like, oh, shh. Not only are you a bitch, evil motherfucker giving me problems, but when you get hurt, you start to cry. Wow, I didn't expect you to cry. Oh, don't hit me again. Oh no, I'm going to hit you again. No, because when you're in a pool with sharks, don't bleed. That's the rule. I remember learning that on the internet. Someone said crying on the internet is like bleeding in the ocean with a mess of sharks around you. Don't expect good results. You're showing weakness, and you can't show weakness like this anymore. Not when you've created a world where everybody has to be strong and smart and good consumers. Money's tight, things are worth less. Nobody's got the money to spend on your bullshit. Nobody's got the time. I'll take this stab. I guess the best thing I could, say, like, in conclusion is think of this like after the Great Depression came, the 1930s, right? There were hard-boiled eggs. Everybody was kind of a scam artist. We watched a movie the other day, Zootopia, right? What do you say? It's called a con, right? It's called a scam. Scams were very common. That's how people survived. That's how they had to learn to survive during tough times. They weren't nice. There wasn't anything, dreamy about the situation. Women were portrayed as sassy, talk back. They weren't these little, oh, come back from the war, sweetheart, I love you. Now they were women that would like, that fool went off the fucking war again. Hard-boiled egg. And that's what you got today. You can't play this old game. The world has changed. People watch Game of Thrones now. Watching people die in horrible ways is fun. What the hell is wrong with you? And you helped to create this world. That's what upsets me. You drive around in tanks. Ever since those Russian guys tried to take a bank in LA, they drive around in tanks. They militarize the fuck everything. Now everything's becoming a nightmare. And they're like, ah! And I'm like, you're so stupid. I don't understand why anybody put you in charge of anything. Cheers. Yuck, water. Not that water's yuck, but bong water's yuck. Okay, so you see where the battle's at for marijuana, but it's also part of this now greater movement. So, I'm making this too long, but basically the fight is kind of pulled out of our hands a little bit for marijuana because it's being absorbed into what it should be part of, the piece of a much larger puzzle that is about how to tear communities apart, how to destroy families, how to make sure that certain people of certain colors, families never quite get that shot at college that they deserve, because you're going to take away dad and put him in a fucking jail cell. You're going to create a situation with liquor stores and 40 ouncers and shit and get everybody into the idea of spinning wheels and fucking caps on their teeth and everything and diamonds embedded in their teeth, because apparently owning land is not important. Looking good is. Not actually having equity, looking like equity. We sell them all this shit. They buy. It devastates their communities. We do it not just here in the United States in small communities. We do it all over the world. It's a game we play. They fucking know it. That's why they're coming to kick our ass all the time. We got to find the bitches playing this game and beat their ass because they are fucking us up. They aren't even, I'm not even sure I'm upset they're evil. I'm upset they're bad at it. They're not even good at this. What in the fuck? Now there's no excuse to keep them up there. I'm even going to go over the fact that they're good or evil and just say whatever it is they're doing, they're bad at it. And why are they allowed to continue? And that goes from local enforcement, civilian enforcement, to all across the world, being part of the UN and everything else. If this does nothing but puts money in your pocket and fucks up everything else and only profits a few, why the fuck do we allow it to continue? And arguing about whether or not it does is not the point. The point is, I notice you're fucking up. I'm not supposed to notice that. This is supposed to be like a magic trick that happens in front of me, and I'm like, wow, government. Isn't that neat? Oh, did you see that? That was neat. It's supposed to be like a hall of mirrors. If I see you, the man behind the curtain pulling strings, don't sit there and go, you didn't see that, keep going. That's not gonna fucking work. If I see you fucking up, you should be immediately removed. And get somebody else in there, a magician, to keep the fucking illusion going. Keep the puppetry going. The minute I see through that, that guy should be immediately taken out of there, not like reinforced and helped out to fuck up some more so I could see some more of what's going on. Because I should not be able to sit in my house doing nothing, literally nothing, literally nothing, but read stuff that's going on the internet and see, you know what, I'll bet you this is unions, because unions push for the safety of the officers. Then their administrator said, yeah, we'll give you lots of rope to hang yourselves. So then they go, here, you could go shoot everybody. And so they, oh, great. They went off and shot everybody and arrested low-level drug offenders because they knew deep down inside that was going to make their jobs a lot easier. And they really weren't thinking too much about the ramifications of their choice. And then suddenly the bosses are like, and now webcams, cameras on your face, on your head, on all cameras. Right? And they're like, oh shit, I didn't see the camera thing coming. Now they got me where I have to shoot people and I'm on camera. They fucking, man, they could bust me for anything now because they're going to see everything. Well, yeah, they set you up, stupid. Because you got greedy. You said, this makes my job easier. That's what's really going on. Not black people versus the police. Yes, that's happening. But that's a distraction from the mechanism, the governmental mechanism that allows these things to continue. Take that shit apart. That is what these arguments, like what Bill Maher was making, is trying to distract from. Is in fact, how does this actually physically occur? Well, it occurs because union members go to their union representatives and say, I am in danger and I want to be able to feel safe in my job. It's not fair. Then they go to the boss. They pressure the boss. The boss has to figure out how he can turn this into a positive for him. So he says, yeah, red light cameras and shit and automation. We want to introduce this anyway. We'll sell it to them like this is helping to keep them safe. Right? When it's actually less officers on the street. Then they're in danger. Oh, okay. So we'll let them shoot everybody. But then we'll come in with these cameras. We'll get everybody, we'll like suggest, if they had these cameras, and then we'll act like we're resisting it. But then it comes in anyway, and you're wearing a camera, and they got your ass now, and you allowed it because you were greedy. I think that's a mechanism that these sorts of things work under. And that racism and all that is just the flavor of the month for it. But in fact, it's a simple thing. It's a negotiation process where somebody bought something, a diamond, for $1, and what they got was a rock that was worth less than $1 that they thought was a diamond. Now they can't admit they're wrong, and their bosses have got them, and so now their bosses protect them from the public for the ramifications of their actions. But I'll bet you behind closed doors, the bosses are like, I got your ass now, motherfucker. You gotta totally kiss my ass. Your union can't protect you. All I gotta do is throw you under the bus. They're looking for a cop like you. You gotta do everything I say now. Because I got you on camera. I'm protecting you. It's a nice career you got there. It'd be terrible if something happened to it. And the union can't protect you because the union accidentally sold you out by accepting circumstances that look like they were in your benefit, but in fact turned against you in the end. The training, red light cameras, the ability to take people's property, all of these were gifts that were poisoned, intending to incriminate you and destroy your honor. Therefore, you could not be detached from them. Now you have to support their system, which you are now under and controlled by. A brilliant way to crack your union and their control. Now, anything to protect you ends up in dead civilians. The civilians put pressure on you. I bet your bosses come out on top. This is a mechanism, I'll bet you, under which things like this can occur. And racism is just an integral part of that. the part that the public can grasp onto, they can get emotional about on one side or the other. But it masks probably the actual structure, the skeleton. It creates this hideous monster that stomps around our civilization. Okay, so that was too long, but I wanted to get that, express that idea that I was having, that, you know, here again, they're doing this themselves, and how do you think this is going to turn out? And you're thinking in an old-fashioned way, and your paradigm is dead. And don't you see that you're even being played, and that we're all being played? And we got to find out who's actually playing us. And the people that actually turn to that are the ones that are going to win. Everybody else will be too busy going, you know, it's duck season, it's rabbit season, it's ducks. You know, it's just, it's ridiculous. Where's that going to go? Yeah. All right. It's like the abortion thing. They always piddle it down to some fucking hot button issue, and then there goes any ability to fucking actually fix anything. And they're doing it again. Okay, so I wanted to show you the work that Robert helped me do with the guitar. This motherfucker, he did all the routing and stuff. So it's his fault. No, no, he did all the routing. We kind of fucked up where the bridge went, so he had to put another piece of wood in. But this piece of wood, the shit piece of wood I found at the thrift store for like, I swear to God, it was $3.95. I think it's going to make a really nice body for a shitty, you know, travel guitar. And of all the travel guitars I've seen online, I don't think I made such a half bad effort at doing this. We decided to ditch the pick guard I sold. I bought. And why would I say sold? Anyway, I ditched the pick guard that I bought off the project, and we're going to use a record, like a Steve Martin record, Wild and Crazy Guy, for the pick guard. So I'm hoping that's going to work. And he routed out all the sections for the for where all the controls go and everything. We took all the wiring harness out of the pick guard, figured out how that would go in the guitar. You got to get all the spacing right and everything, so it has the right, what do you call it, scale, you know. So you had to measure from the nut to the 12th fret, and then that same distance, that's where your bridge is going to go, right? And that's how you get your scale. And you then, when you set up your guitar, you want the string that's open, like the E. When you put it on the 12, that's going to be like an E in a higher note, but it's an E. So E, E, and then the next one, you know, Eddie 8, get A, you know, Eddie 8 Dynamite, D, D, okay, like that. So you want it to actually be able to be set up, and then you want to make sure that there's not going to be any buzzing, or there isn't going to be any fret work needs to be done, and we'll have to fuck around half-ass with files and shit that we just have in the garage doing that. But you can actually make not like a luthier guitar, but you can build a guitar. And I built guitars before, like I built this cigar box guitar, which I love this thing, but unfortunately one of the nails fell out recently. I have to glue a nail back in there. But see, I built this one, so I know I can build a guitar, and I played this, and you can tune this, and this doesn't even have like a real bridge and shit. This has like the nuts. This stuff makes the bridge. You know, so if this works, and this doesn't have no fucking rod in the neck or nothing, this is just a piece of wood I cut. So if this works, then I don't see why this guitar wouldn't work fine. Unless we make some really bad error or something. But is it like a fabulous guitar? No. Okay. So, and it's not even, the shape isn't even perfect, because we didn't cut a template. I just kind of drew it. I said, well, you know, let's just do, I don't care, you know. And then the thing was so fucking hard to sand that you couldn't actually get the guitar flat all the way around without going through 50 pieces of sandpaper. So I said, okay, just go with the angles. It looks kind of primitive and, I don't know, Flintstone-y, like a Flintstone guitar, you know, Barney Rubble guitar or something. So the shape, so just go with that, and we'll just work with that, you know, because it's okay. I don't want to struggle with the body too much, as long as it plays. And it's better than a slab of wood. And I've seen people just literally do a brick of wood put the pickups in there, and then boom, there's your guitar, and there's not even a body anywhere. So, but I was pretty happy with this. I was very. It was a lot of fun to work with my brother. I think that was the thing I said to him was, I'm actually tricking you into trying to be a luthier. This is how I'm tricking you into building a guitar so you can see if you enjoy it and you want to try doing this and taking classes maybe someday or reading more about it. But I figure if you have this experience, then if it's something you're interested in, you'll move towards it, you know. All right, so here's some pictures of my guitar, and you stay high and goodbye. And I'm sorry about that kind of angry, negative vibe and stuff, but I'm really, you know, I'm like an adult that's like dealing with other adults in a job, and I kind of will pull them in the room and I want to say, okay, look, what in the hell is going on? Because, and they're going, well, those kids. And I'm like, no, look, some of your behaviors is helping or precipitating factors to this child's experience on this playground. And you are actually creating an atmosphere that is triggering this kid. And if you would change, look, I'm going to explain to you how, not that I'm insulting you, but how to maybe mitigate some of the precipitating things that are causing this child to react in this way. And you will have a better experience with this child. Because right now it's going down a negative road that is not going to fucking help you. It's not a power struggle. This is not a power struggle. You are in charge. Act like it. Don't act like, oh yeah, kid, I'll show you. That's someone who's on the same level. You need to be here. I see that you're reacting to this situation like this. And it's not being hoity-toity. It's being emotionally fucking detached. You're not personally taking any of this as a personal fucking attack on you. If you weren't here, somebody else would be. They're angry at who you represent. Try to deal with that. Stop playing into it by playing the bad guy that they see. Get it? And don't fake it, because kids are not stupid. And they will smell that on you and you will pay for it. So just like if I was at work, I would say, look, don't fool yourself into thinking that this is all bad. I'm watching, I'm telling you, I see some shit you're doing is a major fucking problem. Major fucking problem. You know, fucking yourself in the ass. You're all over right, and I don't appreciate it.